The two leaders I chose for this project are Martin Luther King Jr. and Rosa Parks. Martin Luther King Jr. was born in January 1929 in Atlanta, Georgia. The son of a Baptist minister, he received a doctorate degree in theology in 1955. Being influenced by Gandhi, he played a key role in the civil rights movement in the United States. He pushed for civil disobedience and nonviolent resistance, and even when faced with violence, the protests he organized persisted in peace. This was a major factor for his movement gaining momentum because the restraint he was showing was something no one expected. In addition to his push for peaceful change, Martin Luther King Jr. was a very powerful orator. His infamous I Have a Dream speech, which had 250,000 people come to hear, is one that will not be forgotten in history. He spoke of his dream that one day his children would be able to live in a world where they weren't judged by the color of their skin, but of what they had on the inside. Due to his efforts and those of people just like him, the Civil Rights Act of 1964 was set in place. This act prohibited racial discrimination in employment and education and outlawed racial segregation in public facilities as well. Later that year, he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize and was the youngest person to do so. I chose him to be a great leader because he lived by his words and followed what he said through his actions. Never resorting to violence, Martin Luther King Jr. motivated and changed the course of history because he fought for what was right and fair. Being able to use his natural-born skills to persuade others to fight for his cause and help other people in the process, I think is something a great leader needs to possess. The second leader I chose was Rosa Parks. Rosa Parks was born in February 1913 in Alabama. Her mother was a teacher and made sure that education was very important in the family. Unfortunately, she wasn't initially able to finish her education due to family reasons, but years later was encouraged by her husband to do so. She was well respected in her large African American community, and in 1943 joined the Montgomery chapter of the NAACP, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, against the wishes of her husband. Today she is the most well-known due to her refusal to give up her seat on a city bus in Montgomery, Alabama. By doing so, she helped initiate the civil rights movement in the United States. After being arrested for not giving up her seat to a white male, there was a bus boycott led by Martin Luther King Jr., which lasted over a year. The boycott ended after the Supreme Court ruled that bus segregation was unconstitutional. She was quoted saying in her autobiography, "People always say that I didn't give up my seat because I was tired, but that isn't true. I was not tired physically, no. The only tired I was tired of giving in." Years after the boycott, she was faced with harassment and threats due to her actions. Her family eventually had to move because of it. She never turned violent in response to how she was treated and is now recognized as a symbol of dignity and strength because of the efforts she put forth to end racial segregation. She was even awarded the Congressional Gold Medal, which is the highest honor to be given to a U.S. citizen. Martin Luther King Jr. and Rosa Parks were born in the same time period and fought in civil rights efforts. Martin Luther King Jr. is well known for his speech. Being able to speak your thoughts and persuade those around you is important as a leader. He knew how to command an audience and get them to see how wrong the African Americans were being treated. Living out his peaceful life in protest to the violent segregation he grew up in helped our country get to where it is today. He is definitely an effective and powerful leader as seen by his change in the world. Unlike Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks did her leading in a different way. This silent manner that she led in is another sign of a great leader. A leader does not need to check all the boxes on some list. A great leader can utilize their own strengths and weaknesses in ways that others can't seem to do. Sometimes I think that people forget that you don't have to be a great speaker to be a leader. As seen with Rosa Parks, sometimes all it takes is one gesture, a small rebellion against the bad in the world that can make a person a great leader. Taking action, using an inner strength quietly can sometimes be more influential than a big grand gesture. At the end of the day, a great leader is one that shows through their actions what is right and shows others how to do so as well. They are examples of the kind of leader I want to be. To sum up these two powerful and influential leaders, in the words of Rosa Parks, you must never be fearful about what you are doing when it is right.